Hello, everyone. Darcinovia once again with a review of Star Trek. This time, it's the first book of the Millennium Trilogy, The Fall of Terok Nor, another Deep Space Nine novel. Um, get used to it, just for those of you who watch my Trek reviews, because there's going to be mainly Deep Space Nine reviews, going forward. So, I'm going to be talking about this book. Anyway, this is the first book of a trilogy, even though there's no historian's note, which the later novels do have, which tells you where these books take place. But it's not something a quick Google search you could confirm for yourself. Though I assume if that you've already watched all of Deep Space Nine and you just want to know if this novel is worth your time. Well, if you want to know where it takes place in Deep Space Nine, it takes place in between the second to last episode and the final episode of season 6. So, yeah, that's where this novel takes place, if you care to know. Now, I think that the authors of this novel did a great job, making this book feel like a Star Trek book. I never read what they wrote before, so I had to bring that up. Most of what I've read, on this channel in Star Trek has been from, John and Friedman, Peter David, Greg Cox. I mainly read their books, but I've never read, stuff by these authors, and I'm impressed, actually. And considering that Deep Space Nine, I hold to a higher standard than other Star Trek shows, and I feel like, only the best of the best writers should be able to write for Deep Space Nine, because the characters in Deep Space Nine are far more complex than the ones in Next Generation and the original series, and I'd be pretty pissed off if any of the characters are written poorly. And this person wrote every character well. And the thing this novel does well is the first few chapters of this book just makes you want to read more. This is a page turner. In fact, this is the fastest I've ever read a Star Trek novel ever. I finished this novel in like a day and a half. That's how much I just was plowing through this. This is the fastest I've read a book since the second or first book of the Edge of Conquest duology in the New Jedi Order series. I haven't read a novel this fast since 2015, and for the looks of things, the next novel will probably be the same way. Because every single chapter, you learn more and more about what's going on, and with the red orbs, which is a big plot point in this book. What are they? Because there's certain Bajorans that don't believe that they're real. They believe that they're fake. And what is the legend of these things? Well, they will bring the end of the world, essentially. Well, I'm not going to get into much into detail with that for spoilers, at least in this section, but a subplot of this book is about Quark. Well, it's mostly the main plot, but it becomes a subplot somewhat later when the red orbs are introduced, because Quark is accused of committing a murder. And come on, we all know, for those of you who've seen Deep Space Nine, Quark, he's a coward. He would never kill anyone. But what's interesting is the opening chapter of this book, like, sees the Cardassians leaving Deep Space Nine, but it does it from the perspective of Quark. And we learn in this novel that he doesn't remember what happened during that day when the Cardassians left Terok Nor, which was renamed Deep Space Nine. This book is a mystery in a way, because you don't know what's going to happen, even though like certain characters they're not going to die or anything because it's Star Trek. But I do feel the tension when I read this book. And of course, who can you forget? Everyone's favorite, lovable, hate or love you hate kind of character, Kai Wynn. She makes an appearance towards the end of this book. Um, I think she was written well. Every character was written well, regardless how big or small. And every character was interesting. Not a single character felt wasted. And this book, I think, did a great job of making you want to read the next book in the trilogy. Because here's the thing: one thing that's very important when you're reading a book, if you don't, if it the first book in the trilogy isn't interesting, you're not going to want to read the others. And this book makes me want to read the sequel. And I'm looking forward to reading this one. If you're a Deep Space Nine fan, I can't recommend this book enough. I can't tell you my final thoughts though, so the only thing I will say is I really enjoyed this so far. My rating for this trilogy is to be determined, so sit back, stay tuned. Next time, I will review the second book of the trilogy, The War of the Prophets. May we live long and prosper, and see you guys next time with another video. Later.